Scott, and this is an R.S. Williams & Sons little parlor guitar from 100 years ago, Toronto, Canada. It was kind of a mystery to me. My customer brought it down. He bought it from a seller in Canada, and I didn't know anything about these guitars. It looks very pearly though, doesn't it? It's got all these pearl or pearloid things going on. It also has this wood inlay, which is kind of neat, but it needs a lot of work, and I just wanted to verify with a couple of my Canadian friends how old this thing actually was, and Grace DeMarin thought I should reach out to Ted Woodford, and he said it predates all the Hensel stuff, and he's worked on several of these and a lot of the ones that Hensel made for these guys. So I believe it to be well over 100 years old, probably more like 130 years old. And it's made of a very thin wood, not quite sure what type of rosewood that is. But we're going to go ahead and dig into it and take a look. We're going to put on a new bridge, reset the neck, and put in a new set of tuners because we're missing one of the gears. And we're going to glue up some braces too because it's all falling apart. We'll take a couple still photos and we'll get the endoscope out and look inside this because it's kind of weird. Hey guys, and if you'd like to get you one of these shirts, just click on the round Harpeth icon from your phone right now and it'll take you to all my links, or you can go to the About or the Info page on YouTube and go to my website. There's also a merchandise link there, but it'll take you to the Spring website where you can, all different sizes are available, a bunch of different colors to choose from, and you can get you one. And that helps support the channel, but it also inspires me to keep making videos. Appreciate your help. Hey Sam, why don't you just throw a bunch of glue in there from the outside? That'll hold it all together. Not a good idea. This isn't going to make our job any easier that they did that. What kind of glue would this be? It's clear. It's hard. It's not rock hard, but it seems like epoxy. Our worst nightmare. The side was separated from the... I don't know if this neck's going to come off. Well, let's see. So there's 5 back braces, which is crazy. That's like at least one extra than most guitars have. 2 of them are loose on both ends, and then you see these other 3 are loose on one end or the other. I think I'll start by gluing all those up. That'll take me a couple days, and then we'll get started with degluing the neck, or maybe taking off that bridge. You'll notice that bridge had some wood screws going through it and a big old piece of oak inside. Oh, and I have to mention that this guitar was made in Ontario, Canada, in Toronto. Okay, next I'm over here with the little glue pot. It's already starting to liquefy. It's not hot enough yet, but when it is, I've got the baby bottle warmer going. Actually, I'll keep this going, keep it warm. And I took a syringe and I put a little piece of speaker wire insulation right here as kind of a depth stop, so I don't go past the brace. I just go to about the halfway point of the brace and get the glue in by feel, because you can't always see what you're doing. The first one we're going to be able to see because I got the endoscope in there, but for the other, gosh, how many glue ups are there? There's 7 different back brace ends to glue down, so I'm not going to film all of them, but I'll do the first one for you and you'll see that. Believe it or not, this is the second round today, and I think I'm going in for round 3. I did the base side of the first 2 braces was my first session, and then I did 3 and 4. They were only loose on one side each, and now I think I'll be able to take one of these jacks and move them over to brace number 5 there, and then I can easily use the 2 axe jacks over here on these first 2 treble side. So I can do 2 twofers and 1 threefer all in a day, which is pretty nifty, because these in the past, these types of things have taken me multiple days. If I can get it all done in one day, that just means I can start looking at the bridge and maybe the bridge and the neck tomorrow. But I do have a crack in the back, and then I've got this situation around the sound hole that should probably be glued up before I start pulling necks and stuff. Otherwise, other things can just fall off, like little pieces of this decoration can fall off and I'll lose them. Another cool thing, while I was downstairs meeting with clients today, the Stumac replacement pyramid bridge came in. Now, the saddle needs to go way back. It's way too far forward. And as you can see, just by, if I set it on this front edge, we're already gaining quite a bit back, intonation-wise. And this type of ebony is called Macassar ebony. It's not the same Gabon ebony as the old stuff, but it looks cool on an old guitar. It's just kind of like, I don't know, I think it looks kind of rustic. It's got the blonde streaks running through it. Now I could flatten off these tips of the pyramid and try to reinstall these diamond inlays, but they're not even like the same. Let me think about that. So after each session I do clean this out in the sink. That way the glue doesn't harden in it, and then I can go ahead and put this back in the fridge for the night. It was a good day of brace gluing, because this here is a threefer. 3 braces at once. And in 3 sessions, all in one day with hot high glue, you can get 7 different back brace ends glued up. Only with hot hide glue, man. That's the only glue I would trust with a 6-hour cure between before releasing the clamps. Yeah, so the wood around the sound hole, the soundboard itself, was all buckled and stuff. So I took some 1/2 millimeter veneer, cut it into the appropriate shape, and glued it in with Tight Bond Original. I've got some backer pieces and this thick acrylic type material over the top to flatten everything, and I've got it nice and tight, and I'm going to let it set, and hopefully it all flattens out nice before we take this neck off. And I need to mention that I took small pieces of soaking wet paper towels under each area and flipped the guitar upside down for about an hour, and then I used the heat lamp to really warm up the area. That's why this fret guard's right here. So it was warm and it was moist. And now with these with the pressure that I'm putting on it, we've got pressure, heat, and moisture working in our favor here to help flatten everything out. And then when it all dries and cools, it should be flat as a pancake. Flat as a pancake, guys. Flat as a pancake. Well, I could take this little machinist rule from Stumac now and measure the string action at the neck to body joint, the 12th fret, at 18/64. Oh my god. I got some tuners on the peg head so we can string it up a little bit, but I mean that's about all I need to see. But The other thing is, now that it's all glued up here, we can hear it. And I've got the bottom glued, and I've gotten that flattened out. 7 brace ends glued. It's going to be a good sounding guitar, but I don't know if this neck's coming off. I tried to get the heel cap off to no avail. I don't know why the sides end here at the heel, but they do. And the real problem is that the sides have protruded out. They're not where they should be. And someone went in there with all that glue and just made a mess and didn't correct the problem while they were in there. So we'll see if we can get this delaminated. Wish me luck. Made in China. Travel. Dry iron. Well, after all that, I've conceded that this is not a dovetail joint, especially after I got the heel cap off. I really had to drill and cut it to get it off, and that same darker wood is back there inside. It was like all one piece going through here. So it's like a Spanish heel or an integrated heel, and what that means is that the neck isn't separate from the neck block. It's all together. So what we'll have to do is saw it off and convert it to a bolt-on neck. And after about 10 minutes of heating, we have separation. And look at this. It's not a dovetail. I don't know what you'd call this, but it seems to end here. You can see where I had my holes, thinking that it was a dovetail that came out like this, which it isn't, but it's just like one big old block. I guess we'll start heating this up again and pull it off. It always helps to step away from these things for a few days, rethink everything, and just come back to it, because you never know what to expect. Wow! Wow! Never done that before. Okay. Piece of paper. Paper shims. Oh, dear lordy. Well, so one of the main things this guitar needed was, well, I guess a neck reset, but really, what happened was the neck block and the sides misaligned themselves somehow over the years and pulled away, so they were standing proud. And what I did is I went in and I got the back separated from the neck block, completely separated. So you can see there's no glue between it anymore. And I got the sides de-glued from the neck block here. That was not easy because, you know, they jammed all that hot glue gun stuff in there, just wads of it. I had to saw it out. So now I'll be able to glue everything back into place, aligned, and then reset the neck. Just this alone sometimes, you know, and I've seen this before, it's like the guitar needs a neck reset, right? Yeah, but it also needs the neck block realigned with the back. So that's what's going on now. And I'm sure once I get that done, I need to reglue a little bit of the soundboard down to the neck block because I heard it creaking.
I glued it and clamped it up with hot hide glue. I had to use bar clamps on the top and back, as well as all the way the length of the guitar body. And then I taped the binding back down, glued it with Tight Bond 3. It's pretty good for, it's very forgiving for contaminated glue joints like that. I don't know if you notice on the back here, this binding is like 2 red wood purflings with a kind of a wedge-shaped plastic piece. I'm going to have to recreate some of that here in a little bit. First, I'm going to drop in some shellac into these areas that are looking chippy. I believe the original finish to be shellac, because the checking lines are super microscopic. And I've seen that on old shellac guitars. The checking lines aren't, you know, wide like on a Gibson from the 50s. Well, this guitar is like 60 years older than that. So shellac it be. And it's kind of fun to wipe. I added a little brown color, all translucent, of course, a little dye here and there. I think I had to touch up some of that purfling too with a little red mahogany stain on a really fine paintbrush. I'll scuff up the surface with the gray Scotch-Brite pad to clean it, wipe it down with naphtha, and do a little more painting with the shellac. That part is kind of fun, doing the shellac touch-up. Little toothbrush with naphtha to clean. And then I wipe on a little 2-pound cut. Shellac from Flakes. I just use Stuart McDonald shellac. I use Stuart McDonald hot hide glue as well. And Stuart McDonald fish glue. I use a little bit of Tight Bond for cleats and binding. And I usually use it for gluing in a nut. Other than that, I'll be using hot hide glue for all the braces, the neck joint, the bridge. Gotta get rid of these paper shims. And this is one hunk of wood here is for a dovetail, man. I've never seen anything like it. but I've heard it's kind of like how they make cellos. And it wouldn't surprise me if the builder of this guitar was a German immigrant to the Toronto area, mid to late 1800s, maybe a violin maker from Germany, because the carving on the back of the headstock and this neck construction looks awful violin-y to me. I'm going to get the soldering iron out and try to pull these two inlays out, because there are wood screws under the inlays. And these wood screws were put in there to hold this big old chunk of oak on the inside of the guitar. There's a big old chunk of oak over the bridge plate. I know the bridge plate got damaged at one point, and they thought the only way to fix it would be use that hot glue gun full of that polyurethane crap glue and stick it up in there and run some screws through there to hold it. It did hold it pretty darn good too. But it's not easily reversible. Now, the cool thing about taking the fretboard extension off was that I found a donor piece for my missing inlay under the fingerboard. I'll be able to transplant it over here, where it is much needed inlay. And these are real pearl inlays, by the way. 147 pearl inlays on the top of the guitar, and at least 60 or 70 wood inlays on the back. I'll use a little bit of a Glue Boost White liquid binding and a little bit of pearl flake. This is a test area here. This is the first time I've ever used this stuff. May as well run it under the fingerboard as a test area. And then once I decide I know what the heck I'm doing, I'll do it over here on the edges. So I thought it might be neater if I put the flake in first and then hosed it down with the white CA glue. Glue Boost White. Thank you, Glue Boost, for bringing this to market. StewMac doesn't sell it yet. I had to buy it directly from Glue Boost. Accelerate me. Accelerate her. Accelerate you. StewMac. Golden Age restoration tuners for slotted peg head. Well, they sent me two left side. They call it left side. I call it right side. Either way, it's the bass side. And they sent me two bass side. So I had to contact customer service and wait another week to get that one. So anyways, the one on the bass side looked pretty good for a week by itself. I'll move on to other fun things, like making room for that inlay transplant. I set my Dremel for a very shallow cut, about a 1 millimeter cut. I'll glue it in with the Loctite LCA glue. That's how we do it in modern times. No tight bond. Wouldn't want that rubbery crap under your inlay. And then I'll use a little ebony dust and some water-thin CA glue to fill in the black around the inlay. Some people like to use black epoxy. It just takes a little more time. If I was building this guitar right now and putting in 147 inlays, I'd probably use the black epoxy.
Well, here we are. I've gotten to the point now where I've filled in this soundboard crack and put in a cleat on the inside. I've also got one of these 5-degree shims made where it tilts the neck back. I've got a little sawdust going on right here, but so yeah, it tilts the neck back. I've got shims on the dovetail, the neck, and I can set the neck with this clamp temporarily. I can actually, just by forcing it in there, get it to stay. Oh no, I can't. Yesterday I could, but today it won't stay. See if it'll stay. Kind of wants to stay. But I've worked the fretboard extension where it's pretty good. It's going to need a slight shim, not much. I bent it yesterday with heat because it was sticking straight up in the air. But we're getting pretty close now. I think I'll glue the neck on separately, and then I'll come in, I'll glue that piece back on, I'll get my shim together, and I'll glue that on as step 2 of the neck reset.
Ah, finally, my shipment from Athens, Ohio came in. Golden Age Restoration Tuners. With black buttons. Here we can see the carving on the back of the headstock. The peg head carving. Very nice.
Well, here it is. The moment of truth. What I've got is we've got the guitar supported from the bottom here and on the lower bow. We've got it clamped down from the top in the back and in the front. We've got a clamp holding the neck and the fretboard extension in. There's no glue in this joint as of now. This is just holding the fretboard extension down against the shim. And this scissor jack is holding the heel close to the body so it doesn't tip this way with string tension. I've got string tension going on, and what I already found out was that that fancy little shim that I made to go into the deal was actually setting the neck too far. And I can tell with my new bridge, well, maybe I should zoom in. Well, the other thing before I zoom in is the neck has no support anywhere below it. It's just free floating in space here. It's not supported at the headstock. My hand goes right underneath. There's nothing there. So it's allowed to flex naturally the way that it would when you're holding the guitar. So because I had the neck tilted too far back, I had overset it with that one shim. So I took it out and I put in a skinnier one that you can't see that. But what it did is it loosened up this area up here. So for now I've just loosely put one shim in on one side there. And the original fretboard extension shim I was going to go with was this 1 degree shim. But I've replaced it, since the neck came this way a little bit, this became a smaller shim. So that's a 1/4 degree shim instead of a 1 degree shim. It's the string action here at the 10th fret. I don't have the 12th fret in right now, but the 10th fret is 5/64ths, and over here on this side it's 4/64ths. So it's pretty good. Let's look at the bridge. So from this angle, the new bridge appears to be like way taller than the original bridge. In fact, it's the exact same, and it even seems like it's lower when I put it in front. But that's because the soundboard is higher back here and then it's lower in front of the bridge. So I might be able to raise this saddle up a little bit, hopefully. Well, actually I don't really want to. I want to leave the saddle kind of low. I don't want to put a lot of extra torque on this one. It's got a very lightly braced and very thin soundboard, but sounds good, even with these old spare strings that I just put on it. I think we're ready to finalize these shims and set the neck. Down here at my supports, I got the Unistrut bar here. That doesn't come with the Total Vice Proppers guitar workstation. This is actually an add-on. It's called an expansion package. And the Unistrut stuff I bought over at Lowe's. I cut some extra pieces and sent some to Doug Propper in New York. And he's been using them. I've seen it on his Instagram. He's using them. He's liking those. And that's just an old laboratory jack from eBay. It's like a 3.5 by 3.5. a little wedge down there with some cork on it. And those supports do come with the total vise. The rear support comes with the total vise. But these brackets and everything, I had to cobble those together myself. And this support comes with the total vise. And then there's a neck rest that I took out for now. It's sitting over there, down there on the bench. So that's how I do it. The new tuner's on. And this scissor jack, you've probably seen me do this before. I put the little thermoplastic piece there that forms to the neck heel. And there's quite a bit of tension on this. It can hold, I don't know, 50,000 metric tons. And last but not least is the string alignment. This allows me to double check the string alignment before setting the neck to make sure that I don't need to shim one side or the other. And that's the reason I put this shim on this side here. It's because it was tilted one way or the other and I needed to correct it. Okay, so you'll see here I'm able to take the strings back off of it. This isn't glued on yet, just kind of hanging out there. And I can pull the neck right out, and I'll glue that shim on permanently, and then put the glue and reverse the steps that I got. A little bit of room temperature fish glue here. On both sides, and she should slide in like greased owl poop. Listen to this slide right in there like that. Ooh! Now I gotta clamp it. This time I'm just gonna, I don't even need the extension on there. Right like that. And I got my little thermo. So here we have it. There's nothing under the headstock. It's just hovering. I got that pushing on the heel, this pushing down on the dovetail, and the guitar is elevated. And you can see I've got the 5/64 action at the 10th fret. We can even listen to it. These two strings are being touched by the clamp, so you can't really hear them. But I've got tension on them. I can kind of feel that they're up to tension. And this one's a little loose. Anyways, I'll let it set overnight, and then we'll figure out the extension, the bridge, and the alignment looks great. The alignment is right on the edge of the binding on both sides.
I warmed up the bridge and the soundboard with a hot heat lamp, 250 watt. I protected the soundboard with cardboard. And the smell of polyurethane. I'll be darned if they didn't use some more of that hot glue gun slug of polyurethane stuff under the bridge. We're going to be filling in all these holes because the bridge is way too far forward. It's in the right position for a nylon string guitar, but this is now a steel string guitar. And that big chunk of oak's going to come out too. I bought a hot plate down over at Walmart and got some boiling water going. Put the endoscope inside the guitar. That's what you're looking at here is my phone. And that allowed me to get a nice hot palette knife and know exactly where to stab it. Because the polyurethane glue does react to heat quite well, but it needs to be like direct heat from a really hot knife like this. So rarely do I pull out bridge plates, but if there's a piece that shouldn't belong in the guitar, I'll pull it out, like this big old piece of oak. I needed to get this out because I needed to put a new like a 1/4-inch sized extension to my bridge plate behind the bridge plate because I ran out of real estate for the new pinholes. And this is my new hot plate and my new meat thermometer. And these are the TJ Thompson belly bulge reducers. They call it a belly reducer, which isn't really what it is. It's like a soundboard bulge reducer for using underneath the bridge. And like I said before, the soundboard was higher behind the bridge and lower in front of the bridge, and the whole transition happened in a very short little spot where the bridge was. And I'm able to get that so flat that the brand new bridge will go down without having to sand the bottom of the new bridge. Seriously, it flattened out that flat. All I had to do was lightly scuff the new bridge and clean it off and glue it down with the hot hide glue. I stagger the heights of the clamps so that I can tighten them better. It's the Shop Fox. Stumac has a set called Ibex clamps. Same thing. The Shop Fox ones are half the price. And drill the 2 outer pinholes, and I'll use my nylon posts for gluing on the bridge. Dry run. I'm using fresh hide glue for the bridge. This is hide glue that's hydrated, but it's never been warmed up before. So I transferred just a little bit into this one, and I'm warming it up to 145. And this is what's left over. I'll transfer into my reusable stuff that I can use for braces and any other job besides bridges. And this is the kind of stuff you learn on the Luth group. If you guys join up on the Luth group, you learn all sorts of things like this. Yeah, I don't like using Tight Bond for this kind of thing anymore. It's just a rubbery, cheap carpenter's type glue that doesn't even hold a candle. Not even close to hot hide glue for instrument making. If you work fast, you don't have to heat up the 2 areas with the hairdryer or the heat lamp. I had all the clamps in place and I did a dry run, so I just put it on cold. Not cold, it's room temperature, 80 degrees, whatever. Same thing for the fretboard extension, hot hide. I did end up putting a shim back in there. I actually popped the neck off a couple days later. After putting the new bridge on, it needed that original angle that I figured out in the first place. So I had to reset it. Which was fine because I didn't have the fretboard extension down yet. It's kind of why I wanted to do it in 2 parts. Next time I'll glue the bridge on first and then set the neck. Much wiser choice. The other thing that's nice about the hot high glue is it doesn't creep and slip. The 2 parts lock together quite quickly, and then you can clamp it, and you don't have to clamp it with like extra unhuman force either. You can just, put some decent pressure on it, and you're guaranteed a nice joint. The weird thing about it is, I usually come back the next day and all the clamps are loose, which tells me that it shrinks. The joint shrinks, so it kind of sucks the 2 parts together overnight as the glue dehydrates, as all the wood absorbs the moisture in the glue. It sucks the 2 parts together and the clamps are loose. It's kind of miraculous, really. And then you're ready to restring it within a day or so. And the nice thing about the hot hide glue is that the glue joint doesn't creep over time like a tight bond joint would creep. Instruments that are glued with hot hide glue sound better. They sound tighter, more piano-like.
I strung it up with the 80-20s, 11 through 52. I've got 7/64 action at the 12th fret on the low string and 5/64 on the treble. And you know, it's sounds pretty good. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I just counted 147 pearl inlays on this, just on the front of this guitar, and it's got all these on the back too. I don't know if I showed you that whole piece of missing binding. It was missing from here to here. Got that all patched in. Got the bridge in the right place. Listen to the intonation. Had to move it about 1/8 of an inch back this way to get it to sound right. And it sounds all right. So, thanks again for tuning in and hanging around and subscribing and all that stuff. I hope to see you soon. We'll catch you later.